welcome to today's houseplant vlog. As you can see, we are in the bathroom or the loo, and we're going to start off with giving my snake plants some much needed watering and dusting. It's been a very long time since they've been thoroughly watered, and I'm going to say in the 3 to 4 years I've had them, they've never been thoroughly dusted. They've been dusted very lightly, but not thoroughly. So we're gonna give these guys a shower and get them off to a healthier start this year. And just an FYI, I have never showered with my plants before, so this is a new experience. And this might be a disaster. So there might be a lot of editing involved in this particular portion of the video. We will find out shortly. So first, I gotta get the plants away from the tap because we have to make the water cold before we actually turn it on. And I'm probably gonna get a rude awakening with this temperature because I'm a very cold person. We're gonna make it semi-warm for my. Still pretty cold though. I think I can handle this. Just a little bit warm, mostly cool. Whew. Okay. Oh dear. That does not sound good. Okay, we've got the water going. I don't think you can see it. This is terrible. There we go. Oh my goodness. This is much more difficult than it looks. Let me tell you, getting a good camera angle in the shower with plants is not easy. This has to be one of the most difficult videos I've made. Getting good camera angles in the shower with water and plants it's not easy actually. It's a little challenging. Or maybe a lot challenging. This is quite a challenging video to make. But we're going to give these guys a good cleanse. And I just got a microfiber cloth that I'm using, and we're going to dry them off afterwards, but this is just to get a lot of that dust that's literally been stuck on here for a few years off of these plants. I don't think you can see, but here, let me do a little bit of a different version of dusting. Hard to dust and focus on the camera at the same time, what things look like. Actually, this isn't too bad now that I'm getting into it. The water is just like slightly warm and not too bad. And it's kind of nice to be surrounded by plants in the shower. Like, almost feels like you're going to some kind of exotic destination on a trip. Give this guy a little water too. And dry up. We're gonna get that dust off the leaves. Now we're gonna turn off the water and dry everything off. I'm going to dry off and I will meet you afterwards. Dry off these leaves and put these guys back in their homes. I will meet you when they're back where they live. Here are some of my snake plants back in their homes, all cleaned off, ready for a new start. Here's a quick look at how my rubber trees are doing that I showered in my last house plant video. They are doing so amazing. Look at the size of this leaf. I have small hands, but truly, these leaves are huge. It's putting out a fresh new leaf. And here's my variegated rubber tree. It's growing as well, but a little slower than the burgundy one. But the lighting today is actually letting you see the fuchsia stems, which is really nice, or fuchsia red colored. These guys are both thriving since their showers, so hopefully my snake plants will thrive too. Before we get into the next plant care task, I have something super exciting I have to show you. This is the living room coffee table, and this is my Christmas cactus. It is going to bloom. I am so excited. Look at that gorgeous color. The first time this plant ever gave me buds, flower buds, was this past October, November. And it really tripped me up because it formed multiple flower buds and then they all dried up before the color was even visible. So I was very disappointed, but I think this time it's actually going to work out. And this color is so beautiful. It's almost a cross between a fuchsia and a vibrant like cherry red. So pretty. When it actually opens up, I'm either going to do another video or I'm going to post a picture on my community tab or on Instagram because I just cannot wait to show you guys what this blossom looks like. Next on my list of plant chores is repotting my plant therapist orchid. I bought this cactus and showed it in my last video when I was really stressed with my work. I have since gotten a different job and I'm gonna start that in a couple weeks. Meanwhile, this orchid is starting to look pretty droopy. The flowers are wilting and the plant is wilting. I knew I would need to repot it when I bought it, and I did buy a pot just a week or so ago to repot it with, but I just haven't done it yet. So we're gonna try to give this orchid, not cactus, a little more life. I'm contemplating if I should cut the flowers off. I think I'm gonna leave them, but they are looking sad. So we'll see what happens when I get out my potting supply. This was my original orchid that was gifted to me years ago from a student, and it's also looking droopy. I am gonna cut the flower stalk on this one. This orchid has bloomed quite a few times in the several years I've had it, maybe 4 or 5 years. Usually it blooms for 6 months, but this was a short bloom. So we're just going to cut it, but not all the way down the stem. We're gonna leave it, I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna see if the camera's gonna focus. You can almost see a bit of a growth point there, and I don't know a lot about orchids, but I have learned if you cut them, not all the way down the flower stalk, but not too far from the top, they will rebloom probably more blooms than they originally had. So we're gonna cut just about here. And hopefully this will encourage some new growth and new blooms. We are outside now and I've got my orchid pot. This is what I'm going to be repotting into. My plant therapist orchid is going to go into here. I wasn't sure if the pot size was right, but I think it's going to be perfect actually. And for this soil or substrate mixture, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to be using 2 things. First, this orchid mix just from Pro Mix. It's literally the only orchid mix I've seen in our area. So I'm just going to start with a handful of it. If you've never seen an orchid mix, This is kind of a good example. It's got charcoal, bark, quite a bit of bark. I want to say probably perlite or vermiculite or both. So we're going to take a few handfuls and put it in the bottom of the orchid pot. I'm going to add a little bit of extra charcoal for good measure. This is what horticultural charcoal looks like. And he thinks it's a some kind of edible snack that I'm offering the camera, which is not the case. In case you're wondering, the he is my garden supervisor who is contemplating eating some charcoal that I left on the ground that I dropped. So let's take this guy out of his pot. Oh dear, shoot. That wasn't supposed to happen. This is what's going on down below. I don't know what you can see, but supervisor thinks he's the cleanup crew, which is not supposed to be the case. So let's try that again. We've got our pot and whoa. We're just gonna put it into here. The roots or aerial roots, whatever you want to call these guys, don't look so good. No wonder it is not healthy. They are literally drying up as a bone. And I tried to water this guy more than my normal houseplants, but the water wasn't sinking in for some reason. So I'm gonna get rid of as much of this mulchy material and oh, look at that. Oh, can you see that? The camera's picking it up. I really want to show this. I'm gonna zoom in. Look at the interior of this. It's not really picking up, but I'm trying to show you this little root ball essentially is, I don't even know what you want to call it. I've never seen anything like it, and I think that's why the plant is dying. It's like a sponge or something that they put around this root system. It's very odd. Yeah, I swear it is a sponge. I'm gonna take it off. This is rather strange. I might end up killing this orchid. I just broke a piece of this sponge-like material off of this orchid plant. It is so interesting. It looks like dirt, but seriously, this feels like a sponge, like a brown sponge that they put around an orchid plant. And no wonder it's dying. Like, I've never seen that before. My other orchid, that was never like that when I repotted it. So that explains a lot of what's going on with this poor plant. So we've got 50% of this strange sponge-like material off of the roots of the orchid plant. You can see it. There's still half of it on there, so I'm going to take that off as well. I swear this is a sponge. This is not dirt. They put a brown sponge on here. And there's even a tiny bit of mold. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but that should never have gone on an orchid plant or any plant. You don't put sponges around roots. I get the principle, keep it moist, but that is not what happened. It almost strangled the roots somehow. These roots do not look healthy at all. I'm not too surprised. I'm going to repot it as is, and I may have to take it out in a couple of months or longer and give them a good cutting. But for now, I'm just going to leave them in their current state and repot them. See how low we want this plant in the pot. So I'm just going to top it up with the orchid mix. We need a little more orchid mix in the pot. going to add some of the horticultural charcoal that we just looked at. Quite a bit, actually. More than I put in most orchids, just because it's a nice fine substrate and it's going to fit into this pot better than the bark mulch chips. It's a little tricky to get it in there with the leaves and everything, but we just do the best you can, and it's got to be a better potting. The potting that I'm doing now has got to be better than having a sponge around these roots. I'm surprised the plant isn't dead already, to be honest. So I'm going to put it into my decorative pot. There we go, nice cover pot. And now I'm going to give it a little bit of water. And I'm taking a bit of a risk with this watering. I'm going to use some of my reindeer's natural plant foods that I talk about way too much in my videos. It's a seaweed extract, I don't know if the camera picks it up, made on Vancouver Island, pure seaweed concentrated water-soluble extract. Every plant I've given this to, houseplants and my garden plants, love it. I've never given it to an orchid before though, so this is definitely a test. Could go poorly or it could go wonderful. So I've mixed it up in this can and I'm just going to give it a little bit of fertilized water. And in case you're wondering about seaweed extract, at least this variety, there is no odor. It's not like a fish fertilizer, it's seaweed based. And literally it doesn't smell like anything, so it's awesome if you have animals. They're not going to be super attracted to it. And by the way, I am not sponsored by Reindeer's Plant Foods. Maybe one day I will be, but not at the present time. I would love to be though if they ever reached out and were interested. Next on the agenda is this guy wants a piece of the action. Aside from him, we are going to tackle my dragon fruit cacti. This plant is in desperate need of some kind of staking system. It is growing super well, but it definitely needs support. I didn't realize this was a climbing plant when I got it on Facebook Marketplace, so we're going to give this plant a little intervention. So we are going to tackle my dragon fruit cacti today, and all I'm going to do is stake this plant. I've got a bamboo skewer and some takeout chopsticks, and all I have to tie with is a single twist tie. So hopefully that's going to work out for this staking project. So let's get this guy supported on the skewer with my little twist tie. We're just going to tie him up, and it doesn't seem to be long enough, so I'm going to try higher up on the plant, and that's probably going to work. These guys are slightly prickly, so I mean technically they are cactuses. If you're working with them, wear gloves and do be careful because you don't need any thorns in your fingers. So I think this is gonna work for now, but I'm needing to get a more permanent, longer solution. So stay tuned to see what I come up with for this very long and slender cacti. Thank you so much for joining me on my houseplant care morning. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you love plant videos and garden videos and sneak peeks of golden retrievers, you may want to subscribe to this channel. Sending you some warm spring vibes, and we'll see you very soon in another video. Bye for now.